Hello guys, this is Nuclear Physics Part 1 where I would like to run you through the basics of atoms. So with atoms there are three subatomic particles which you must remember. There are protons, which we write as P+, there are neutrons, which we write as N0, and there are electrons, which we write as E-. So there are two characteristics which we have to remember about each of these subatomic particles. One of them is the relative mass, and the other is the relative charge. Remember, this is the relative charge, so it doesn't have any units. So with protons, the relative mass is 1. With neutrons, it's also 1, and with electrons, it's 0. So electrons are so light that they virtually don't have a mass. With the charge, protons have a charge of 1 as indicated in the plus, neutrons have a charge of 0 as indicated in the 0 above the N, and electrons have a charge of -1 as indicated in the minus over the E. Now with atoms, every atom has a nucleus and an orbit. You find the protons and the neutrons in the nucleus and the electrons in the orbit. So now I would like to talk about how elements are written. So if you have an element, it's usually written like this. So I'm just writing E for element. And then it has a number here, and then sometimes it also has a number here. So what do these numbers mean? Okay, let's start with A. A means the atomic number. M means mass number. And Q stands for charge. Okay, let's now set up some equations or some definitions, if you like. So the atomic number is equal to the number of protons. So if you see an atomic number, you know, okay, that's how many protons the atom has. Then the mass number is calculated by, since the only things which have a mass in an atom, it is the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. So number of protons plus number of neutrons. And now for the charge is equal to the number of protons minus the number of electrons. So that means if the number of protons and electrons is equal, the charge will be 0. If the number of electrons is 1 more than the number of protons, then it will be charged -1, or if it is 1 less, it will be charged +1. Now let's set up these expressions, but now for the subatomic particles. So you can express the number of protons as the number of atoms, the atomic number. You can express the number of neutrons as the mass number minus the atomic number. And you can express the charge as the atomic number. You can express the number of electrons as the atomic number minus the charge. So that means if the charge is negative, then let's say the atomic number is 5. That means you have 5 protons, and the charge is -1. That means we do 5 minus -1, that's +1, that means we have 6 electrons. That means if we have 6 electrons and 5 neutrons, and 5 protons, the difference will be 1 electron more, so the charge will be -1 because electrons are charged negatively. Okay, let's do an example. We have helium 2, 4. And now my question for you is, what is the number of protons, what is the number of neutrons, and what is the number of electrons? You can pause this video and give this problem a try. If you are finished, I'll explain it. So, the number of protons, as we can see above, is equal to the atomic number, which is, as written here, always written below, or in most cases, written below. So that means we have 2 protons. The neutrons, as we can see, is the mass number minus the atomic number. So we do 4 minus 2, and that is equal to 2. And now the number of electrons is the atomic number minus the charge. And here this is not written, but the charge would be 0. So that means the number of electrons is 2 minus 0. You can also remember that if there's no charge, the protons and neutrons have to be the same. Perfect. Let's do one more example. Let's say we have oxygen 8, 16 with a charge of 2 minus. So now my question is, what is the number of protons, what is the number of neutrons, and what is the number of electrons? You can give yourself a second if you would like some practice, otherwise I'll explain it. So the number of protons, as we have written above, is the atomic number, which is 8. The number of neutrons, as we've written above, is the mass number minus the atomic number. So 16 minus 8, which is equal to 8. So we have 8 protons, 8 neutrons, and 8 electrons. Sorry, I'm not that far yet. 8 protons and 8 neutrons. Now, what is the number of electrons? As we've seen above, the electron number is equal to the atomic number minus the charge. So the atomic number is 8, minus the charge is minus 2, minus 2 equals 8 plus 2, which is 10. And this also makes sense. If you have 10 electrons and 8 protons, you have 2 electrons more than protons, so the charge will be negative 2, because the others cancel each other out.